have some new stuff. So those of you who heard me before will probably get some more interesting stuff also. This is what I learned in the last few days. So I'm adding this to my presentation. And it'll be very interesting for many of you to know in our journey towards aging, preventing aging, and eventually death. So I'm sorry to have a very weird sounding title, but yeah. So I'm sharing my screen now. I presume people are able to see it because there's not that much to see in my face. This is something which I found very interesting. This is one person, very famous person. He said that I don't need immortality. I don't need some amrut and all. Just tell me where exactly on earth I'm going to die, so I will never go there. And so I find it very funny, but actually it's true. If you know you are going to die in Chennai, you will not go to Chennai. Then you'll see, dekh lenge kya hota hai. And the same thing we are going to do today. I'm going to tell you what are the pathways whereby we age or eventually die, and if we can slow that progression along those paths down, we will live longer. So I'm going to give you some different points, some research material, some interesting things, some new ideas to think about. And I'm going to suggest that you implement them in your life in whichever way you want. I'll give my suggestion, but let me go to the next slide. So now many of you have seen this. Those of you can't recognize some of these. Those of you are 20-year-old, you probably don't know these were actresses from 1960s and 70s and 80s. Many of them were famous actresses. On the left is the original photo. On the right is how they look like now. So they have aged, right? And that means aging is not just for you and me. It's for everyone, however big a celebrity is. And so if that is the case, there's a good chance that this will happen, right? Maybe not exactly like this. Maybe some of them will have more hair and some of them will have white hair, but aging will happen. Now, unfortunately, this is what we think is aging. We look old, but that's not so dangerous. If you look old, nothing happens to you. You're still okay, right? People will say you are old. As it is, if you are 70 years old, you don't want to look like a 20-year-old. People will say you look like Devanand, all artificial face. So, but you don't want the diseases that come with the age. And so I'm going to give you some pointers on that. The first, to prevent aging, people say, well, you need preventive medicine. In fact, I was introduced more as a preventive medicine guy. And let me explain what is preventive medicine, and let me later on tell you why I'm not a big fan of preventive medicine. See, curative medicine or our allopathy, homeopathy, Ayurveda, those kind of things are called curative medicine. So this is a normal person here. And if he falls sick, he goes from normal level down to sick level. And purpose of curative medicine, allopathy, Ayurveda, homeopathy, Unani, Siddha, all these methods are to bring from sickness to normalcy, bring you up. On the other hand, if you take preventive medicine, this is a normal person. It is to prevent him from falling sick, right? This path is what can I do to stop him from falling? So that is preventive medicine. And now I'll explain why I'm not so big fan of this, because there is something called wellness medicine. So wellness medicine is different from preventive medicine. Preventive medicine is you don't fall to sick level. Whereas in wellness medicine, you lift the normal person to higher level of wellness. What do you mean by higher level of wellness? His health is better. His immunity is higher. His overall fitness is much better. So if something goes wrong, he catches a small infection, he gets a little bit of loose motion, he doesn't become bedridden. He doesn't get completely dehydrated and he doesn't fall sick. So he will fall back to normal. So the idea behind, so you can assume this, if sickness is going to bring you one level down, then if you are at well level, you will come down to normal level. So the person who is normal is still able to function, is still able to go to the office, is still able to do his things. He just doesn't feel great. He's not in perfect energy. And so wellness medicine is to lift this guy from here to this level, from first floor to second floor. It is not to prevent him from falling from the first floor to the ground floor. And why it's important? Because if you look at preventive medicine, you have to always worry, अरे गिरना नहीं चाहिए, खराब नहीं होना चाहिए, भजिया मत खाना, ये मत करो, वो मत करो, बीमार पड़ोगे, ऐसे मत करना. You're always worried. Whereas if you are at a wellness level, you just say, हाँ ठीक है, संभालो, 19-20 मस्ती करेंगे तो ठीक है. You will fall here, which is not great, but it's not the end of the world. So wellness is actually a far better strategy than prevention. And I have this photographic example. Consider this mobile phone. Now, don't keep your mobile phone like this, but you can see it's at the edge of the table. Now, this mobile is safe. It has not fallen. It is perfect. It's a working thing. But imagine getting a small dhakka there. Some kid comes in and jumps over there or something hits the table. Now this mobile will fall down. So prevention is knowing your mobile is on the edge and say, भाई जरा संभाल मेरा मोबाइल वो कोने पे जरा धक्का मत मार यार गिरेगा यार संभाल यार थोड़ा कमरे में भी मूवमेंट करेगा तो संभाल के कर. So you are always worried in prevention world. Whereas in wellness world, you just push the mobile inside. And unless there is a big earthquake in your house, it's unlikely this guy will fall down. So wellness removes all that stress out of staying healthy. Prevention is to be stressed all the time. And the example in real life will be like having a car, and suppose you have a good car and now Bombay ke raste pe bahut sare khadde hai, lots of potholes. So you keep telling people, the driver, संभाल के चला, गाड़ी खराब हो जाएगा, पंक्चर होएगा, be careful, drive carefully, look there. So the driver is always worried while driving on the road so that the car doesn't have a flat tire. Whereas wellness is a way to put sort of a, what's the right word? A spare tire in the dicky. Saying that, ठीक है यार, संभाल के चला, but कुछ होएगा, पंक्चर तो है spare tire. You will not get stuck. So imagine now a few weeks back, we were in Alibag for a business event and we were coming back and the car had got flooded and it was like an issue where we were worried it will stop anytime on the road. And so it was not a pleasant journey back. 4-5 घंटा you are always worried कि गाड़ी बंद पड़ेगी तो. Instead, if you have a spare capacity in, like say with the tire, you have a spare tire, you'll say बंद पड़ेगी तो ठीक है 10-15 minute जाएगा, but we'll change tire, will not get stuck there. And so wellness is a great idea for long-term health. Now let me connect that to aging. So when you talk about aging, essentially you are saying, I don't want to be old, means you want to be young, right? So if you want to be young, you want to be like a young guy, to be like a youth, like a young. So what is it in a young guy which is not there in an old guy? It's not that the younger guy is more energetic or younger has more hair on his head. Those could be, but those are not really what define youth. In youth, you must have seen, आजकल COVID चल रहा है, you must be knowing that the chance of danger, falling sick and getting some serious condition is much higher in old people compared to younger people. Now, what's the difference if you take a fit old person and a fit young person? What's the difference? Both are fit. Essentially, there is something that has reduced from youth to old age. What is it? In youth, there is something in your body which is there, which is not there in old age. Example I give is smoking. Suppose you smoke and when you're 20 years old, you might be smoking 10 cigarettes and nothing happens to you. But when you become 50 years old or 60 years old and the person sitting next to you smokes, you start coughing. So what happened in those 30 years? Now you're not sick in both these times, but you're not as good as you were before. So in youth, you essentially have what we call spare capacity. It's just like the mobile of your life when you are young is on the table, not on the edge. And as we age, our mobile, life ka mobile starts coming towards the edge. So that's, to be young is to build extra cushion, extra redundancy, extra spare capacity in the body. That's what is there in youth. And slowly that reduces. That's why from age 20 to age 50, you don't see much of a change. But actually your spare capacity has reduced. If you have a pani ki taki, it was full when you were 20 years old. And when you're 40 years old, it is maybe half. And when you're 50 years old, it's maybe 40% left. Both the times, it doesn't matter because you daily need only about 20%. So nothing will happen in both these times. You will have problem only when you are 80 years old, when your tanki is only 20%, right? And that's what happens as we age. But the day you don't have water coming, आजकल पानी बंद था Bombay में for a few days, or sometimes there was a water shortage because of flooding. And in those days, your pani ki taki goes down so low that you have water shortage. And so when you are young, if water doesn't come for, water doesn't come for 4 days, you're okay. When you're 40 years old, water doesn't come for 3 days, you're okay, but not 4 days. When you're 60 years old, you can manage only for 2 days. When you're 80 years old, you can manage with only 1 day. एक दिन पानी नहीं आएगा तो चलेगा. but 2 दिन नहीं आएगा तो 8 लग जाएगा. And that's what happens in old days. And so if you reinvert the argument, you say that, hey, what if I put extra capacity in my body or prevent the pani ka taki from going down, then I'm younger. So you understood, you becoming younger doesn't mean your skin looks like a 20-year-old, your hair looks like a 20-year-old. It just means your body has spare capacity. It has more fighting power for a rainy day, so to say. Your organs age as we age. So you don't look at only the skin. Brain ages, eyes age, your bones become weaker, joints become weaker, and they all age in a different way. And I have a very interesting new research that I want to show you, which will be an eye-opener for many of you. Even if you have heard me before, you have not heard this. So just wait. So lungs, hearts, all of these age. And typically in old age, now these are some of the diseases we see in old age. You will not have memory loss when you are 20 years old, but when you are 70 years old, you have memory loss, eyesight becomes weaker, heart disease, diabetes, arthritis. Many of these are old age things. Why are they old age things? Because they are what we call degenerative diseases. Your body starts aging, and it's like an old car. So if it's an old car, you can't predict what will be a problem, whether there'll be shock absorber problem, whether there'll be a leakage from sides, or whether the clutch plate will be worn out. Similarly, your body will have different problems. And you will see when I'll explain that different people age differently. And so these are some of the things that are going to happen. Now this is on the right side. So I'll just put off some of these videos that I'm seeing. Okay. So your age is the age of your body's vital organs, logically, right? It's not the number of candles you put on the cake, but how weak your eyes are. So take an example of somebody who's asthmatic. Now, an asthmatic 50-year-old will have lungs like a 70-year-old, but his eyes could be as strong as a 40-year-old. His bones could be as strong as a 50-year-old. So his eyes are 40 years old, lungs are 70 years old, his bones or joints are like a 50-year-old. So his age, real problem age, is decided by his lungs because he has asthma, right? So your age is the age of your body's vital organs, especially the one which is the weakest. So if you have diabetes, certain organs of your body, blood sugar, whatever that leads to, those are your weak points. If you have asthma, your lungs are your weak point. If you have some other medical condition, heart disease, then that heart condition is your weak point. Your heart is like an old heart, though you might be younger in age. So you could be 40 years old, but your heart could be 60 years old. So all your organs are 40 years old, your heart is 60 years old. You are essentially going to live some part of your life like a 60-year-old. And so to be young, you need to keep all these organs of your age or younger than your age. And second thing is, they don't age, what's the right word? Your organs don't age in the same way for everyone. Third, you don't want to wait till they get damaged, because once something is damaged, if your mobile phone has fallen down and cracked, it's very difficult to repair it except to replace the screen. It's much easier to stop the mobile from falling than fixing it once it has fallen. Okay, and that's one of the reasons why prevention is not a great idea. Wellness is a good idea. So wellness starts from the time when you are young, essentially, when you are 20, 25 years old. Now, concept of wellness is to build extra margin of safety. It is like pushing the life's mobile to the center of the table. Now, one more thought process. Why is this whole thing important? Because see, we save money for old age. We all will become old, and so people who are near retirement, they start saving money. They say, look, when I'm 70 years old, I can't earn, I'll be at home. So how I need to save money. And so we have to save. But some people don't save because money is not the priority. Saving is not the priority. So you need to save with a focus that I will need it for old age. Okay, so money is saved like that. Now, if that is the case with money, isn't that true for health also, right? Sometimes like money, you say wealth and health. So we want wealth in old age. Similarly, we want health in old age. And the problem with health is money you can still borrow from your brother. You can borrow from the bank. You can borrow from somebody else. But health you cannot borrow. You can't even borrow from your spouse. You can't say, "Mere ko thoda sa liver ka health de de." You cannot do that. So you have to save it when you have health. That means when you are young, you start protecting it. It's like if you say na that अगर तुम्हारी मौत चेन्नई में होने वाली है तो don't go to Chennai. That doesn't mean you keep going towards the outskirts of Chennai and then मैं उधर जाऊंगा तो फिर वापस आऊंगा. You keep preventing that direction all the time. You're preventing going in that direction all the time because you don't know when your movement will accelerate. Maybe some medical condition will accelerate, right? So, so how to build wellness? The principle is what we call the daily deliberate action. And we call every day you do that. Now, obviously, it doesn't take 18 hours, but it should be an important thing in your life. The way you take shower, the way you change clothes, you should say, I want my health too. So you cannot say, I'm too busy for my health. I can understand one day a month, sometimes there's too much stress, but it cannot be a last priority. We have a concept called slight edge. And in that slight edge, we say every day you do a little bit. And it doesn't, and what a lot of people think is maybe once maybe after I finish this, once the rains are over, I'll start my walk. That's not what happens. That's not what improves your health. Every day, a little bit improves your health. And doing right things don't help you on one day. If you do it for one day, it makes no difference whether you do it or not. 2 days, no difference. 1 week, no difference. 1 month, no difference. But if you do it for a long period of time, there's a massive difference because every day you become slightly better, right? Morning walk, ek hafta jaake kuch nahi hone wala hai. But you go for 1 year, you will feel much better. And that's what we have, that dance program tomorrow. By the way, how many of you are going to take part in the dance program? You can just put it in the chat if you are going to do that. Yeah. Those of you know, right? I hope you have the link and some of you can put it in the chat box. Yeah. What's the best time now? Let me just know. Earlier the better, is it? You have another 3, 4, 15, 20 seconds to feed. I'll continue with the talk, but just enter it. And so we'll know. Wow. It's a choice between 7:30 and 8. It's both are okay. Oh, excellent. So anyway, we'll know, but looks like 7:40 is the ideal time if I take the average in between. Okay, I'll go ahead, keep answering that. Now, these are 4 pillars of healthy aging. One is you need to take adequate amount of sleep and rest. Second is you need to have positive mental attitude. Third is good exercise. And fourth is proper nutrition. So generally 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Many of us say sleep se kya farak padta hai, things don't improve. Actually, sleep is, the more I study this field, I realize that sleep is the cheapest and the best medicine. I'll tell you something worse. You cannot outwork lack of sleep. I cannot give you enough supplements, or you cannot do enough exercise and enough healthy life. If you don't get enough sleep, there is nothing theoretically anyone can do to get you back to health. So it's a free, cheap medicine. Only problem is it takes time. You need to have 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Positive mental attitude. It's not just satsang, and we sometimes ask people to write their gratitude statements and all. It's not just like we are all satsang people, we want to feel nice. Hey, we are all nice people, God made us for. That's not the purpose. You have positive mental attitude, it reduces your stress hormones, and your stress hormones are actually destructive to your health. They have purpose if they're on for 2 minutes. They're not used. If a dog comes barking at you, your stress hormones are useful. It helps you run away from the dog. But if the fear is on continuously, that stress is on all the time, you will have a lot of, it's called catabolic hormone. You have a lot of destruction in your body. So it reduces so many problems. Third is a good amount of exercise, adequate light exercise. Whatever you can do, whatever exercise you can do for life is better than doing 3 hours of exercise on one day and nothing on the other day. So habit is a very good way to do this. So many times people ask me, what is the best exercise? I say the best exercise is what you can do, right? And of course, you don't want to do extreme stuff. The fourth one, now this is something, if you've not heard me before, it doesn't matter. This is, 1 minute. I hope you are seeing the results of your poll. It's a neck to neck thing. 8 o'clock looks like a winner, but I'll leave Stefan to decide on what you what time suits people, and go ahead with that. So there are four. This is something very interesting. Pay very good attention. This is researchers from Stanford University just published paper a few months back. And they said there are four possible ways you will die. Everything that happens, even if you get an accident, food poisoning, everything, there'll be four things potentially, four different ways by which you can die, and by which you can also age. One is called metabolic. And some example is like diabetes, where your body can't process sugar, the metabolic pathway it is called. So that's the way. And something going wrong with your digestion, your blood sugar management, whatever your metabolic system in the body. Second one is an inflammatory. Maybe you will age or you'll die by an inflammatory pathway, like a heart disease or Alzheimer's, or stuff like that. Lots of those are inflammatory. Third is something going wrong with liver damage and liver type of things. So that's a third way. And when I say die, just to make it more glamorous, it's also aging. Scientists say that your body can age with these four pathways. And the fourth one is kidney pathway, where something goes wrong with kidney function. So there are lots and lots of medical conditions in each of these pathways. But eventually, one of them is going to decide your fate, your age, your body's age, as well as your eventual death. So what you want to do is keep all these pathways in check. And so let me go to the next slide. So this is, yeah. So I have one more slide on that, which I'll cover. So the fourth one is proper nutrition. And nutrients you take as raw material for your body, protecting your organ, inflammation control. You want to keep oxidative stress low, you boost your immunity. These are all different things nutrients do, but sometimes our food doesn't help us. So sometimes nutrients are not enough. So I tell people to take supplements, and I take a lot of supplements, but I tell people that you take supplements because sometimes some things are not convenient. You can't take green tea on a routine basis, so a supplement for green tea is good. Sometimes it's not hygienic to get some stuff. You can't have milk. A lot of milk has antibiotics in it. So sometimes pesticides they are there on vegetables. Sometimes our food doesn't have enough. Kitna sabji khaoge, right? Sometimes we need to eat a lot of food. If you have to have fruits and vegetables in large quantities, it's not enough. It's expensive, and who can eat all that much? And sometimes some things are not part of our meals, right? Like in Ayurveda, there's a mix of 3 nutrients called Trifala, and that's not part of our meal. You need to take it. It's not, if you don't take it, there is no way. There's nothing in your food that you cook. Hirada or Behara, or there are these 3 different ones. You cannot get that. So those are also important. And this is just a screen to say nutrients to protect oxidative stress. Oxidative stress, I told you those 4 pathways, right? Metabolic, inflammatory, hepatic, that is liver, and kidney. Inflammatory pathway, there's so many conditions that can happen. They can take your life. So you want to have proper nutrients which can prevent this. Now, one problem in taking food is this slide I'd shown before. Many of the foods we eat, like fruits here, they have pesticides. So they found 93% of the pineapple things found in India had some pesticide residue, some form or the other. So even if you want to eat healthy, sometimes it's not easy. There are a lot of hormones sprayed on crops, and then this is a WHO slide, World Health Organization. It says you need to eat about 10 servings a day of fruits and vegetables. A serving is the size of your wrist, your mutti. And you can see it's like, 10 of these is a lot of stuff. In fact, protein is one more thing we lack. Most of us don't get enough protein. Why? Because that's how our diets are. Indian diets are predominantly carbohydrate based. Our idli, 19-20 protein rehta hai. But most of us don't eat heavy. That's not the case in USA. USA people have a lot of protein in their diets because, they eat a lot of non-veg, and in that also they eat pure only non-veg kind of stuff. They have very little of plants and vegetables. Now, plants and vegetables are generally good, but not enough if you have, if you just have them, chapati and rice and all that, not enough. And so you need protein also. Now, this is a list of different nutrients which are needed for organ protection. If you can see, there are actually multiple of them. So protect your brain, you need green. AO is antioxidant, green antioxidants in green tea, fish oil. Eyes need antioxidant called lutein. Now, eyes get damaged, it will not kill you. But if you cannot see things, your life will go for a toss, right? You can't see the toilet, you can't see the steps, you have to depend on somebody. It becomes very difficult. And so it is not one of those four pathways to death, but it is definitely a product, an organ you want to protect, right? And so there are different things needed for keeping you healthy. The problem is, most of these you cannot get so easily. And then there are a lot of them. So I take a lot of them. But if you are first time into taking any of these supplements, you need to, I'll give you 2 or 3 common ones which you need to at least take. See, these are 3. I would say everybody should take some kind of a protein supplement. I take about 20 grams a day minimum. And some days I take more because I also eat, we are non-vegetarian. So I eat chicken and we eat eggs and all that. So we get protein, and I know that I could take more, but 20 I take minimum a day. And sometimes, I meant supplement 20 grams. Everything else from the food, whatever I get. Fish oil, omega-3, it's like omega-3 oils are excellent. Problem is, you don't get very good quality fish oil, omega-3 from vegetarian sources. So you have to rely on fish oil. And my experience is there is almost no good fish oil available in India. There are 1 or 2 brands at the most in India which are worth even looking at. And I personally have, I'll come to that. I'll show the ones I take, I'll say, but I don't want it to be commercial, so I don't want to do too much. And antioxidants. Antioxidants is something people are realizing now. What is oxidant? Oxidant means something that rusts. So gaadi ko rust lag jata hai, jung lag jata hai. So those are, that's an oxidation process. The same thing happens in our body, but there is no jung. Is that essentially the process of oxygen combining with body degenerates the body. A large part of your aging happens because some things oxidate. कुछ चीजों का ऑक्सीजन से रिएक्ट होते हैं. Like we inhale oxygen, exhale carbon dioxide. So carbon is oxidated. That process itself is degenerative, but it's not fast degeneration. There are a lot of other things which are fast degeneration. So maybe I can't explain it in short, but just remember that anything that slows down the oxidation process is good. And there are food antioxidants which prevent your body from high amount of oxidative thing, and they are called antioxidants, and they can prevent degeneration of the body and therefore aging. Because what is aging? Degeneration. Your bones getting weaker, your heart getting weaker, your eyes getting weaker. That's degeneration. So when your eyes get weaker, your eyes don't get weaker. ऐसा कुछ वो ball है वो कुछ ऐसा उसका ढीला नहीं पड़ जाता है. The cells in your eyes start either dying or becoming ineffective because something goes wrong. It's like the cell becomes old. The cell that senses color goes weak. The cell that senses, that's why in the darkness, old people can't tell things. The light is less, my mother can't read. We need a separate, much higher intensity light for my mother to read newspaper. And because she's old, she's 85, right? And so these are the things. These are the supplements I take. And as you will see, don't go by the variety of it. Just see the names I've written on the side. Inflammation and pancreas. And see, the problem is, what is needed to protect my eyes is not what is going to protect my liver. I need something else. Silymarin is needed to protect my liver. And lutein is needed to protect my eyes. So what should I do? I have 2 choices. Either I say, I will not spend money on both. I'll spend on one. So I'll let my either eyes die or my liver die is the wrong word. Eyes age or liver age. The problem is I don't want to do both. So I will spend on eyes, I'll spend on liver. And that's why I have 2 separate supplements. The same thing is with joints. The same thing is with bones. And as I showed you, if you really ask me, I would tell you to protect all 4 pathways. Make sure you have something that protects your liver, that hepatic pathway. Make sure you have something that protects your heart and inflammatory pathways. So that involves all these fish oil and stuff like that. And protect all the stuff that destroys your metabolism. So protein, you would want a supplement of fiber, you want a good set of multivitamins you want. There are 3 or 4 or 5 of those you would want. And I'm spending this time because I spent a lifetime on it. I have spent 20 years just to learn this field. So, I'm not an expert on sleep, for example. That's why, though I said there are 4 points, I'm explaining this point more. And pretty much all of these are, I personally prefer a brand called Nutrilite. And the reason is what I've seen. I've been in medical line since 1993, 28 years. And in that process, I have dealt with a lot of doctors and a lot of pharmaceutical companies. I've dealt on the other side of the fence, right? I have not gone as a patient. I've gone as their man. And one of the things what I've learned is there is a lot of spurious stuff available in the market. Usually not so much in the life-saving thing. कि कैंसर ड्रग में इतना स्पूरियसनेस नहीं आता है. You must have read in the paper there were fake remdesivirs. I mean, we were so worried about our loved ones' lives in March, April, May. ये जो अभी कोविड का जो पिछला wave 2 जो हुआ वो, and there were some people who actually were filling water and giving remdesivir. इतना आदमी गिरा हुआ हो सकता है. Can you think of it? I mean, these people should not even have a right to live. I mean, we are so worried about our loved ones. भाई भगवान बचा दे, यहाँ भाग के रेमडेसिविर ला रहे यार. 5,000 का बाटली तुम 50,000 को बेचो, बट पानी मत देना यार. People are so filthy crooks, you know. So if it is something to do with a supplement, you think they're going to bother? They didn't bother about your mother or father's life when they filled water in remdesivir. So supplements is like total mess over there. And I'm always worried. I buy something and I give with a lot of hope to my mother, and she takes it for 5 years and it is a spurious one. So I always say, you know, I don't want to avoid not giving supplements. 2, I don't want to give anything random just to save cost. I spend a lot of time to know. And with that, whatever trust I have, I do. So this is pretty much I wanted to say. See, you are responsible for your health. It's not your doctor. Sometimes people think that doctor will fix me. Doctor will not fix you. Doctor will fix you if you fall sick. If your mobile falls down, he will replace your mobile screen. But for preventing mobile phone from falling down is your responsibility, because there's no doctor on earth where you go to the doctor and say, imagine this, na? Is there any doctor you have seen in your life who sits in a clinic and you go there and you say, doctor, मैं normal हूँ, कुछ problem नहीं है, मैं क्या करूँ बताओ? The doctor will look at you, idiot, why have you come to me? I mean, what is your problem? I mean, if you don't have problem, why are you here with me? So let's not blame doctors also. I mean, he can't take care of you when you have no problem. When you have no problem, it's your job to take care of you, right? And so all this, I hope I gave you some idea that everything that you do to take care of your health is the same thing that you do to take care of your aging. But you need to do 1 from early age, number 2 consistently, and number 3 in a wellness manner, not a preventive manner. Most of you, I know, if you are on this chat, in this video, in this group, in this community, you are health oriented. But I'm almost sure 90% of you are in preventive mode. I need you to think on wellness mode. Aging is not preventing. Aging is wellness. Because aging, you are always aging. From the age of 20 to age of 100, you are always aging. 30 years is an older version of 20 years. 40 years is an older version of 30 years. You are always aging. So what you want to do is, instead of worrying about it for next 80 years, if you are 25 years old, instead of worrying about it for next 50 years of your life, you just work towards pushing your mobile inside on the table, just pushing your health on better side of it, just putting more redundancy in your lungs, putting more redundancy in your brain, in your liver, in your heart health, in your pancreatic health. So all these things we are doing are not just to keep you from falling sick, it is from making you well. And so when you see tomorrow morning's exercise, all the talks you have heard on this community, they are not so much meant as preventive. They're meant more as wellness. So I hope you got some pointer out of it. And think of your entire rest of your life. See, जो life हो गया अपना वो हो गया. अब से जो आगे life है, think of that life as, I want to live my life with wellness focus. Okay, so thanks. Oh.
Wow, thank you, Madhur.